It's time for another segment of Best or Worst Horror Books. I am going on a trip to see my family in Oregon this weekend, so I have no other time to do this, but I work at 3 p.m. today. It's about 9 a.m. right now. Let's see if I can get this done. If you're new here, this is how it works. You guys leave me comments of either the best or worst thriller or horror books you've ever read with no opinions whatsoever, just the name of the book and the author. I put them into this bowl. I pick out 2 of them. I read them. We do this every other week, and we flip-flop between thriller and horror, and this week is horror. No time to waste. Let's choose the first book. And it is Haunted, Perron Manor by Lee Mountford. And it's on Kindle Unlimited. Got it on Kindle Unlimited. This book has been on my radar for some time, so I'm excited to read it. But I did just read a haunted house book yesterday, so I'm not totally in the mood for a book of this sort, but we're going to dive in anyway. Perron Manor by Lee Mountford is available on Kindle Unlimited, and it follows Chloe, her husband, their child, and Chloe's sister Sarah, who all move into Perron Manor after inheriting it from the sister's uncle. And it's not at all a spoiler to say that this place is totally haunted. They're warned by several people of the home's history, and Chloe was even present for an event that took place when she was 6. Regardless, the family sees it as a huge opportunity, a free mansion property with massive potential, so they stay, and of course that's a mistake. Made it to 50%. I'm really enjoying this. I'm flying through it, but I just got an email that has kind of thrown me off. I got invited to be a panelist at Thriller Fest in New York, which is amazing, and I'm so honored to even be asked. However, I'm hosting Killer Reader Weekend in Bend, Oregon on the exact same weekend, May 8th through 10th. I wish there were 2 of me because I would love to do both. Obviously, I'm very excited for my book retreat, and so there's no regrets there, but it's just kind of a bummer that I can't do both. Also, if you didn't know, I'm hosting a book retreat for thriller and horror authors and readers. If you're interested in further details, it's on my website, curryreads.com. There's a little button at the top of the website that says Killer Reader Weekend. If you click on that, you can get all the details. You can fill out the interest form. I have a few spaces left, so if you're interested, I'm going to dive into the second half of Perron Manor. Okay, I've been reading the second half for like literally 1.5 pages, and there's a typo. They used Isles like a small island, ISLES, instead of the aisles like in a grocery store with an A. Those 2 words get confused a lot. I'm not exactly sure why, but it's very common. I'm just surprised it ended up in a book. I found this to be a pretty standard haunted house story. The typical creaking floors, figures appearing and disappearing from the corner of one's eye. The characters have their issues like the husband's fragile masculinity, Sarah's PTSD, and of course the haunting this family is experiencing. But honestly, their issues and backstories felt underdeveloped to me. I feel like I knew the details, but I didn't feel the emotional implications of those issues to have me invested. I finished Perron Manor and I enjoyed this. I think what happens a lot in haunted house stories is the characters are kind of like in denial about things happening, and they're like trying to push it aside because, you know, we got this great house and we need to stay here. But in this book, there are 3 main characters that are handling this haunting, and they don't take it lightly, not by any means. Yes, of course, there is the initial like pushback and everything, but I enjoyed the progression of events and how everything unfolded. I thought there was a lot of creepy moments sprinkled throughout, and the ending was absolutely explosive. This is the first book in the series, so there are a lot of unanswered questions, and I will say I did think that there was a little bit of a lack of character development throughout, just because I didn't feel like I really knew the characters aside from what they were going through, but maybe we'll follow the same characters into the next book. I'm not sure. Even so, I'm interested in continuing the series. I'm definitely going to guess that this book is somebody's favorite horror book, and maybe it's the entire series that's their favorite, but of course you have to start with the first one. It's not my favorite by any means, but it's also not my least favorite. I think I would rate it somewhere around 3.5 to 4 stars. I also, just to be totally frank, wasn't in the mood for a haunted house story, so that could have also affected my rating. I always wonder about that, how my enjoyment of a book is affected by my mood, and I don't know. I think my mood did kind of affect the reading experience on this one because, yeah, I just wasn't in the mood for a haunted house story since I just read one yesterday. I also do have to say that I don't really think this one was super unique, which is fine. I'm always down for a standard haunted house story, but I do think that to really excite me, it has to do something unique, and this one just, in my opinion, didn't really do that. But let's choose book 2, and I work at 4, not at 3, so that's good. I have a little bit extra time, and I've kind of been lacking a little bit because I got distracted by my phone. Summer of the Monsters by David Sodergren. I love David Sodergren. I'm so excited. Okay, I have to see where I can get this from. I don't know what was up with that high-pitched singy voice, but it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm gonna dive right in. Summer of the Monsters by David Sodergren is available on Kindle Unlimited, and it follows a teen named Lucy who moves to a weird little town with her father. The previous occupants of their home left under suspicious circumstances, and we follow Lucy as she uncovers the truth that monsters are real. I found everything about this story very digestible, to the way that the characters are introduced, to the way that topics are discussed, to the way that it's written, and everything in between. Halfway through, I did not know this was a YA horror book, and horror sounds a little bit too serious for what this book is giving so far. This is definitely lighthearted and like wholesome. This is a creature feature YA horror story, but it's like charming and not scary, at least not yet. I'm intrigued by it. But yeah, it's just a little bit more lighthearted and fun than I would expect from a David Sodergren book. Not that the other two books that I've read by him, Maggie's Grave and The Horror, haven't been fun, because they definitely were, but just not like in the same tone, if you know what I mean. I'm curious to see where it goes, so I'm going to jump right back in. I was entertained throughout, but the second half definitely ramps up in terms of the monster action, and while this is a creature feature story, it is also heavily a coming of age story, focusing on Lucy managing being the new kid in the town, feeling like an outcast, being bullied, and having her father begin dating again, all while of course dealing with these monsters. I finished Summer of the Monsters. I thought this was a solid read. Throughout this story, we're following Lucy, and she is recounting everything that happened to her when she had the worst summer ever. Because of that, we know that Lucy lives, so she's put in these dire situations, and I don't know, I had no sense of like worry for her because I know that she is fine. So that kind of added to the sense of predictability throughout, which kind of hindered my reading experience. Albeit this is meant for younger readers, and I think that makes it more digestible for younger readers. It did really feel like a YA book. It almost even felt like a middle grade book at times, though there is cursing and some kind of brutal scenes throughout that would not be in a middle grade book. I don't know. It did feel childish to me, I'm not gonna lie. I will say I was surprised by some of the deaths that occurred. I wasn't expecting that, and some of the scenes were a little bit more gruesome than I would expect in a middle grade book, which I guess is why it is a YA book. But yeah, this was solid. Nothing to write home about though, if I'm being totally honest. I'd probably rate it like 3 stars, but I am gonna guess that this is somebody's favorite YA horror book. Though I could be wrong, I could see it going either way, but let me know in the comments if you were the one that suggested this. Thanks for watching. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing best or worst thriller books, so if you want to be a part of it, just drop your favorite or least favorite thriller or horror books you've ever read with no opinions whatsoever, just the name of the book and the author, and we'll keep this series going for forever.